This is the real medieval life story of a child from a royal family. It's no secret that growing up in a castle in the Middle Ages would have been pretty cool. I mean, just look at the architecture. But it might surprise you to know that things were not so great for the children who lived there. In fact, their lives were a lot darker than you may think. Their day-to-day experiences were very different from those of their parents and the servants in the castle. And as you'll see, many of them didn't make it out alive. Welcome to my channel. Today we're exploring the secret lives of children in medieval castles. Our first story involves one of the most famous castles in the world, Windsor Castle. Built in 1070 by William the Conqueror, this massive structure has been occupied by royalty ever since. It's no secret that King Henry VIII had a particular fondness for the castle, calling it his meager but handsome dwelling. He spent a whopping 400 days a year there and frequently held lavish feasts for his royal court. However, what was life like for the king's children at Windsor Castle? Well, tragically, most of them didn't live to find out. See, the young royals had a much higher mortality rate than the general population, and it wasn't because they were particularly unlucky. In fact, it was due to a common medieval practice known as the custom of the basin. This bizarre tradition involved throwing all the babies born within the royal family into a large tub filled with wine, and then gauging their reactions. If the infant was deemed strong and healthy, they were given to a wet nurse. But if they were deemed weak, they were left in the tub until they died. The body would then be wrapped up and thrown away, often to the servants to dispose of. Out of all of Henry's children, only 2 of them survived infancy. One of them was the infamous King Edward VI, who took the throne at the age of 13 and reigned for a short time until he died of tuberculosis. The other was Princess Mary, who went on to become the first Queen Regent of England after her father's death. Speaking of royal mishaps, did you know that King Louis XIV of France almost drowned as a child? The year was 1621, and the young prince was playing near the fountain in the gardens of the Palace of Fontainebleau when he accidentally fell into the water. Luckily, he was rescued by one of his courtiers, and no harm came to him. But this close call made his mother, Anne of Austria, determined to keep him out of danger. As a result, she built an artificial lake near the palace where the young king could swim to his heart's content, under the watchful eyes of his tutors and courtiers. It seems that the royal family had quite the knack for choosing dangerous activities as a pastime. Another French royal, Marie Antoinette, had a rather unusual hobby. The future Queen of France loved to play a game called Lec mich im Arsch, which translates to lick me in the ass. It sounds disgusting, but it was actually a popular children's game in the 18th century. The rules were simple. 2 people would start at opposite ends of a hallway and then try to sneak up on each other while making obscene hand movements. The first person to reach the other with the correct hand position would win the round. Talk about getting a taste of your own medicine. Now it's time to head across the pond to medieval England, where children had a slightly different pastime. They liked to throw rocks off the top of London Bridge and enjoy watching the common folk scramble out of the way. This game often ended in tragedy, as unsuspecting pedestrians were often hit and killed by the flying rocks. Eventually, the game got so out of hand that the city officials had to post guards on the bridge to prevent further accidents. As you can see, children in medieval castles had a pretty rough go of it. Between the constant danger and the lack of proper medical care, many of them didn't make it to adulthood. But hey, at least they had each other and their royal connections to fall back on, right?